Hello, I'm Rudy Bretenraad. In the previous video we saw how to create a business component based on the entity framework. In this video we will see how Max can help us to create a WCF service to expose this business component. Previously we created a ordering business component containing an entity framework model with a customer order, order line and product. We can now create a WCF service to expose this business component. For that, we first need to create a service contract. I will add a new project and I can use the Max contracts generation to create a Max generated contracts library. I call it ordering.contract. This project contains a contracts mapping file, and this file defines the types of my contract and their mapping to the ordering business component. So I need to add a reference to the ordering business component project. And now I can describe my mapping. I can define my contract type, which I name, for instance, order item, and which should be mapped on the ordering business order type. In my order item, I want to have a property ID. This is an identifier property. I want to define an order date property. Because my ordering business order type also has an order date property, the mapping will automatically detect that the order date of my order item matches the order date of my order type. I can also add a property customer ID and a property customer name. Now my order does not have a customer name. My order has a customer which in its turn has a name. So I need to define the source of my customer name property. And the source can be quite a complex expression, but in this case I just have to indicate that the source of my customer's name is the customer.name property path. Can do the same thing for product IDs. For which the source is the order lines.product ID. Note that order lines is a collection. Product ID is a scalar property of an order line. This will result in a product IDs collection property of IDs. Can do the same thing for my product labels. And I can also add my derived property total order price. So I have now defined my order item contract type as having an ID, order date, customer ID, customer name, product IDs, product labels and total order price properties. I have defined their mapping to the ordering business order type. I now need to generate my contract types by choosing Transform All Templates. This will create a few source files. The easiest way to see what has been created is by adding a class diagram. And I can see I have an order item class with ID, customer name, etc. So for my service contract, with the getting started section of the manual, of the Max manual, for a more exhaustive example of how to define contract types. I can now add a WCF service by adding a WCF service application. I'll call it ordering.service. This service needs to expose the ordering business using the ordering contract assembly, so it requires reference to both projects, and it also requires a reference to the entity framework assembly, as it will use entity framework. I will also copy the connection string into the web config and make my ordering service the startup project of my application. Okay, I'm now ready to define the service interface. I will remove that demicode and declare my operate. So I can define an operation that will return a list of order items, being list orders of customer, I can now implement that service interface. Using entity framework. I perform my query. Returning the orders where customer ID equals the customer ID argument. Now I would like to return that result. That result is a collection of orders, and I need to return a collection of order items. So that's where the Max mapper will help me. I add to my service project Max mapping generation the Max mapper generator template set, which is the base set of mapper templates. It also includes a Max domain mapping assembly. And within the mapper generator text template file, I need to change one thing. I need to update the file location of my contracts mapping XML, which is one level higher in the ordering contract project. I can now transform my templates, and I can finalize the implementation of my service, and then using the Max Domain Mapping Mapper class, to which extension methods have been added to map to order item collections, which allows me to easily map my result to a collection of order items. I can now run my service and use, for instance, the WCF test client to test my service. So I will start an external program, choose the WCF test client, and then I have to look up the port number, which is this one, and pass as command line argument so I'm now ready to run my service. And I can call the list orders of customers for customer 2, for instance. And this returns me order items with customer ID, customer name, order date ID, product IDs, product labels, and the total order price. So this concludes our sample about how to create WCF services using the Max Mapper. Please read the Max Manual Getting Started section, which also explains you how to do reverse mapping and so how to implement a save order operation. And well, good luck with the Max Mapper. Thank you for watching.